Hi, I'm Natalie Jill, fat loss expert turned high performance coach. When odds are stacked against us, how do we shift and create everything from nothing? How do we level up when we aren't feeling it yet or we've had a big setback? On this podcast, I'll be talking to some of the most inspiring and courageous men and women on this planet who, at their worst, learned how to achieve success greater than they ever dreamed possible, leveling up and creating everything from nothing. Dane Carter has said many times that it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. You see, Andy is a stand for a financially free life, and he should know the importance of this. From overweight, depressed, and financially struggling to real estate investor and genius, Andy Carter's colorful life and events have changed the course for himself and so many. Join in today and learn exactly how Dane Carter levels up and created everything from nothing. I am so excited today. I've got Dane Carter here. You guys, if you look him up, he is like, everyone in real estate knows him. He's an expert. He does so many amazing things. You seem to be everywhere. You've got this thriving show, but I know that's not always who you were. So thanks for being here today. I can't wait to dive into your story.
100%. Yeah, that was definitely not my story from the beginning, not even close.
Yeah. So some things you were telling me today before we started recording just blew me away. I had no idea. So can you take us back? Because people see you and they want to go to, oh, he's always been successful. He's always been happy. He's always had these things and this following. And I know that's not who you were. So take us back. Who were you?
No. So I was the poor kid that grew up really, really poor. My parents got divorced. I was 4. Okay. And what's crazy is they were living in Vista, which is not too far from here, when they split up. So my mom moved back to Long Beach. My mom was second generation Long Beach. And we didn't have much. I mean, we really, really struggled. We lived in a studio apartment. We didn't have a fridge, so we lived out of a little cooler.
Now, did you know you were poor as a kid? Because I know a lot of times people that were that as a kid, they don't even know it. Like they've got the love and the happiness, so they don't even know. And
we had that. So I didn't really know because we did live in one little room with a bunk bed, and my mom had like a twin bed. So my brother and I would jump off of the top bunk onto my mom's bed, like so many times that the actual stand for the bed went through the floor. But we always had fun and skateboarded. We had a blast. I didn't really realize how poor we were until I started to go to a different school.
Ooh.
And I was just like, oh yeah, we're real poor.
Okay.
We're real poor.
So do you remember that time and what you made up about that or what you started believing about yourself?
Yeah. So what's super interesting is I had a really bad stutter when I was a kid. I stuttered really, really bad. And certain times in my life, that would come back through like stress or certain things. And it was in middle school where I really started to see there was a big difference between certain parts of Long Beach and other parts of Long Beach. And I was on the other part of Long Beach. And then we actually moved to Seal Beach, which is like night and day from where I was from. And then I went to middle school there, and all these kids' parents had these really big homes, beautiful homes. And then I knew then like I was very, very different. And I kind of stepped into a different person so I could fit in, but it wasn't really who I was.
What do you mean by that? Explain that.
So I would, there's this one time there was this girl, her name's Sarah King, and I was trying to fit in. Like I knew nobody at the school. And I was very lucky because all the girls liked me because I was the new kid.
Okay.
And all the dudes hated me because I was the new kid and all the girls liked me.
Right.
So 2 of the guys that were really smart became my buddies because all the girls liked me. Very, very
the
smart
manipulation
move.
starts.
100%. And they had convinced me to go ask this girl, Sarah King, to be like my Valentine. And it was a card, but the card was empty. And it was really mean and it was really horrific. And I still remember it was awful. So I did it to fit in with these rich kids. And then she's crying and I was leveled. Wow. I was like, well, dude, what are you doing? What is the matter with you? Yeah. And then her friend came over and started fighting me, which I was like, now I know I'm just a complete, piece of you know what. And I just remember right then saying, you know what? Like, I'm going to start owning my roots. Like, I'm not doing this. And it was when I first got over to the school that I realized, like, I'm different from these kids, but I want what they have. How do I do that?
So you started having the drive early that you were going to be something.
So that's what started. I was 12.
Yeah. Wow. That's great insight. So no, at 12, you were not the sharpest tool in the shed school wise, I would imagine. That's what you were telling me. So
D's and F's, awful student. Actually did not like school at all. I love sports, loved to surf and skate, but I didn't really want to be in school. I was a social person very much, but I hated the actual schoolwork.
So how did you get, because when we look back to when you and I were in school, like it was, the name calling was even bigger, the teacher assumptions. So here you are, you don't have money, you're trying to fit in. So you're already being labeled as the poor kid. And now you're almost like the dumb kid too.
Yep. And I actually got put in those classes. So everybody knew what class I was in.
Oh yeah.
So
I know those classes.
Yeah. So there was like the classes where there was the kids that weren't too smart. And then I was in a couple of those. So I struggled to fit in that sense, but I was friends with everybody. But for me, like the stories that I had around it were really difficult. But, but I'll never change what happened. And what put me on this whole trajectory is when I was 12, I'm walking to this surf shop and I was with my 3 buddies and there was a brand new wetsuit. It had just come out from O'Neill. It was like $500, which was like thousands to me when I was a kid. Yeah. And it was in the window. And my 3 buddies are like, oh, this is great. I'm going to have my friends or I'm going to my parents come back and buy it for me later. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Like
I was devastated.
Yeah.
So I went around the next day to all these businesses all around the school and tried to work. And everybody's like, get out of here, kid. You're 12. In one place, it was a silk screener. Let me come in for $20 after school and clean all these silk screens, these chemicals.
Wow.
And it was nasty. So I went back to the surf shop and gave him $20 every day.
Wow. You like invented your own layaway.
Totally. And then I got the wetsuit one day and he handed it to me. And my life, I was in tears. Like I'm getting choked up right now even talking about it. Like it changed my whole life. I was like, I don't need anybody.
Wow.
Like I can actually
I got
do this
chills
myself.
just hearing you. It's so crazy because like you look at these kids that you probably looked at these are the rich kids, I'm the poor kid, and they're handed things and they're just not even appreciating it. But because you work so hard to make that happen and you had to enroll a business and hiring you when they shouldn't have, all these things. Was that the first time that you saw potential in yourself to create? Yes,
because I was so talked down at school. I was a really good athlete, so I thrived there. My coaches loved me. I was very coachable. So because I wanted to make them happy. Like my dad really wasn't in my life, so I wanted to make my coaches really happy. So I trained my face off.
Can you speak into that for a minute? Because you just said my dad wasn't in my life. And I know that that's a theme, especially with a lot of successful people. It's bizarre how that happens. But there's this need for looking for approval or validation. So
100%.
Did you struggle with that?
Very much so. Until I was about 30. So like I struggled with it for a long time because I really wanted the validation. I wanted somebody to say, I'm proud of you. I wanted, the like attaboy. And it was this weird paradigm because it drove me and it crippled me at the same time. So
do you think now, like looking back, do you think not having that validation and constantly seeking it is what helped you get successful?
100%. Like there are some of my downfalls that have always really helped me, but I can only connect that looking back because I kind of use it as fuel and I always wanted to prove other people wrong.
Interesting.
Like, you said I couldn't do it. Like that's usually all I needed was if you told me I couldn't.
So what do you think makes a kid, like some kids would hear, like they don't have a dad in their life, they're looking for approval, they've got these things set against them, but they don't even go for things then. What made you want to go for it? Like where do you think the disconnect, or what happened with you that worked and then another kid would not believe in themselves and never try? That's
interesting. For me, I wanted money. I wanted things. Like I wanted the stuff I saw and couldn't have. And I knew that if I just applied the same kind of work ethic that I did on the field to work, I would get those results.
Yeah.
And then what happened to me when I was 12, it was like, that was set in stone forever. Like,
totally.
Because it worked.
And I'm wondering if the sports mentality helped with that because you played sports.
Of course. Like that. And it's all those things that actually kind of made who I am now. But I had to kind of go through all those things. I wouldn't change my backstory for anything. But if you're a young kid and you're really trying to struggle with I don't have a dad, I don't have a mom, I don't have a whatever, like it doesn't really matter. What matters is how you show up every single day. So if someone's listening right now and they're a single mom, let's take like maybe your mom was,
they probably have a kid going through that same thing, especially if the dad's not in their life. Yep. What would you tell that mom that they could do for their child?
First and foremost, that you're a rock star. Single moms are like completely badass. But you want to look for those gems that you know in your child. Moms have a special relationship with their kids. You built them. Like you have, I don't care. I love my 2 children. Like they're my whole entire world. I'll never have as close as mom. So there's certain things and certain traits that those children have that you know, encourage those things, whatever they are.
I love that.
And it might not be school. It might be this little glimmer. And moms have this crazy intuition, like that might be a salesperson.
Yeah.
But if you nurture the sales side in like the right way, it is really powerful.
That's really great. Yeah, I'm thinking about my daughter right now and my arguments with her dad about grades because she's not a student.
Well, yeah, and that just brings me back to like, I got terrible grades. And that's what I tell people all the time. And I'm like, if you look at my credit card, if you look at my report card, you would think like, how did this kid ever even make it?
Yeah. Okay. So speaking to that now, so you knew you wanted something. You associated, I can work, I can get approval. I'm going to seek for this. I'm going to put athlete mentality into it. Was real estate the first thing you did? What did you do first? How did you get to this massive thing you built with real estate?
Sure. So, and it's such an interesting story because I literally built the thing in real estate for freedom. So
what do you mean by that?
Freedom, because I had this incredible life where I was teaching yoga and racing triathlons.
You were teaching yoga?
Yeah, I was a yoga
Interesting.
teacher.
Okay.
So I'm going to rewind.
If you see him on the video right now, you would not imagine him as a yoga instructor.
I've got Ganesh tattooed to me and a huge Om on my chest. It literally changed my life.
You didn't strike me as a football player, maybe?
Yes, and I was a fullback and strong safety, so very much, and I was like a Muay Thai fighter. I was a physical dude. The first yoga class I ever took was one of the hardest things I'd done, and I was addicted.
Yeah.
So before that, I was working at El Pollo Loco at the drive-thru at 14, and I had this drive. And all my friends that were rich would drive through the drive-thru and make fun of, he's in the drive-thru. But they were my buddies, so they could actually do it. And then I worked at Baskin Robbins, scooping ice cream. I always wanted to learn something new. From there was the restaurant business. But I wanted to be a fireman since I was a kid.
Okay.
So I was in school to be a fireman, and I was studying all the different stuff and was actually testing to become a fireman. And then I went to a wine tasting at this restaurant I was working at in Seal Beach, and I fell in love with wine.
Wow.
Like in love, like love at first sight, right? I know, right?
I mean, really.
But all I knew that there was white, red, and pink.
Okay.
I literally knew nothing.
That's about all I know.
Right.
Still.
And then I fell in love with it, and I wanted to know everything. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to become one of the youngest wine sommeliers in the country. So I go to France, I'm studying all through Bordeaux and Burgundy and Champagne, and became this huge nerd in the wine space.
Okay.
And it launched this massive career. And I was a consultant, I built these wine programs, and I actually owned a couple restaurants, and it was great. It was amazing. And then I got into corporate America selling wine and doing really well. So I was on the fast track, kind of like you with medical sales. I was like on track to be like the youngest executive, and just I was really good at it. I was really good at selling, but I lost my passion for it. And I put on tons of weight. I was drinking wine every day.
Eating cheese with it.
I had a huge expense account.
You were not teaching yoga anymore, I'm assuming.
No. So yoga was completely gone. That was before yoga. So I got really, really overweight.
Okay.
And I was very unhealthy, and I was very broken and very sad and depressed for the first time in my life. So I found myself on my couch in the morning drinking Sauvignon Blanc. Like,
ooh.
What happened? How did I get here?
Yeah. Like, but you do remember noticing that? Like what am I doing right now in the morning?
It was, I'll never forget as long as I live. That commercial, if anybody remembers, that was on TV that said, "What does depression look like? Who is depression?"
Wow.
It was this dude on the couch with a blanket, and I was like, that's me.
Oh my gosh.
And that's when it triggered that I'm actually depressed, because I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just unmotivated because I'm fat.
Yeah. And then you're drinking to numb the feelings.
I would drink to numb all the feelings. And then I realized I was drinking every day.
And in the morning now.
And in the morning.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yes, for sure. For those of you listening, this is a public service announcement.
Public service announcement. If you're
drinking in the morning,
crushing a bottle of Sauvignon Blanc for breakfast, time to talk to somebody.
You might have a problem. Yes.
You may have a problem. So I hit pause. I called the company and I go, I need a month off. They're like, that's never happened in the history of the company. I was the top producer, so they gave me a month off. I got so happy. Stopped drinking. Got so happy in that month. I'm like, I'm never going back.
Wow.
And I have no idea how I'm going to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the cool thing about passion and purpose in something. Like when you're clear on what it is that you want, you can figure it out. Like that's what's cool. So you might not have known what you were going to do, how you're going to make ends meet, but you had passion and purpose that you were not doing that and that you wanted to live.
I had no clue how I was going to do it. But what I did know is I was never going back to that job.
Okay.
And I started to get really healthy. I started to like work out like a crazy person. I started to do yoga every day. I went to this retreat in like the Sequoias and fell in love with the community of yoga. And I just started to learn, and I was there, and someone's like, you should go to yoga teacher training.
This is so random. I hope they're looking at you right now because that is so random. I'm judging right now, but that is random. I'm
6 foot, like 215, and you would never think.
You do not look like my yoga instructor.
I know, but that was the actual hook for my class. I would have trunks on. It would literally look like I just came from the beach. Yeah. And I would teach yoga, and I would do these crazy breathing exercises. They're like, how does that guy know this?
This is crazy.
So it was really fun for me. So I got super healthy. I wanted to become a professional triathlete in a year.
Okay.
And I got really close, but I got certified to teach yoga. So I was teaching yoga and racing triathlons and not working. So what was supposed to be a month off ended up being a year and a half.
And I'm assuming you were not chasing money right now because
Zero.
that's not, I don't imagine you make that much money as a yoga instructor.
$20 a class. No,
Okay,
no
so
money.
there you go.
I thought like that was my problem was I put so much emphasis on money. I lost my health. I lost my way. I lost my why because I'd been chasing money for so long. I thought that was my problem.
Got it.
It wasn't the money. It was my relationship with the money.
Yes.
And with myself.
Yes, because the love of money is the root of all evil, not money in itself.
Money's a tool. It's an amazing, beautiful tool. If you let it abuse you, it will abuse you like any other drug or any other thing there is.
Sure.
So for me, I missed money and I wanted to figure out how am I going to do this? And a really good friend of mine at the time is like, dude, you've built businesses and companies and ran big stuff. Have you ever thought about real estate? He's like, I know people that aren't that bright making 6 figures selling real estate.
Okay.
And I was like, I never thought about that. And they work like 4 days a week.
Preface it with, I know people that are not that bright.
Well, because here's the thing, like I love real estate, but I run into a lot of people that are like, you know, they just kind of pass the test and stumble into the field and don't really take it seriously.
But here's the thing, Andy, I think there's a lot of people that aren't that bright doing a lot of things. It doesn't matter because passion and purpose and vision triumphs everything.
I 100% agree with you. And when I wanted to get healthy, that was my singular focus, was to get healthy. So I lost a ton of weight.
Okay.
People didn't recognize me, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And I felt good. So my self-confidence was coming back.
I'll bet.
Because it was shattered. Like it was absolutely shattered. So I start to feel better.
How are you paying your bills doing this yoga thing, by the way, when you're, because you go from like doing really well in corporate and fast track and you're doing that, like, because I know somebody listening right now would be thinking, okay, that's great. But like, how would I pay my bills? How would I support? What would I do?
I had a pretty decent savings. And when I got into real estate, I had $400 left in my savings account. It was gone. But what I did when I was actually doing yoga is I started to, I love to cook. I'm a trained chef. I was cooking these healthy meals.
Another random thing I'm learning about.
Totally random.
Okay.
So I did it for girls too, by the way. I wanted to be this insane chef.
That I
understand. For girls, yeah.
That makes sense.
And I loved food. But I started to cook these really healthy meals and I was losing all this weight. So people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, here's what I'm eating. And I started to actually get a few clients that were in corporate America. I would drop off their food for the week.
Okay.
And I would cook it for them and I was making a little bit of money.
That's awesome.
Again, super random, but it was just keeping me afloat.
The yoga chef with blue eyes. Got
Exactly.
it.
And I could actually slowly crush my savings a little less by doing this.
And you were happy. You were like enjoying your life.
I was so happy. So I got offered this incredible job making a ton of money to go back into sales.
Okay.
And I said no when I had like $2,000 left in the bank.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got to do something. So And
how old were you when all this was happening?
30.
Okay.
30 years old. And so it was an insane time. And my buddy was like, you should try real estate. I was like, okay, cool. So
did you have any idea what kind of real estate? Like I was going to do real estate, commercial. Did you know anything about it?
I knew I was going to be an investor, which was very ambitious for not.
Especially for having $2,000 to your name
Yes.
time, or $400, whatever you had.
100%. Yeah. And everybody's like, you can't just go work with investors after you pass. You have to be in the game for years. And I'm like, I'm not listening to any of you.
Yeah.
So I passed the test and a buddy of mine had this little firm and I told him I'd go work there for free.
Okay.
I go, I'm just going to put a desk there. I want to learn. I'm going to learn. So the first month made $0. The second month I got a little deal. I made $2,000 as like a little referral thing. And then I got really good at getting deals locked up for other investors. I was good on the phone.
Because you're good at sales.
I was good at sales, was great at relationships. So I used all my skills as a wine sommelier for real estate.
Wow.
It didn't matter what I was going to do. I used all of them because I didn't speak the language of real estate yet, but I spoke the language of sales.
But if you show up as in your unique ability and your strengths, it doesn't matter what you do, it's going to work.
I knew, just like every other job I was underqualified for, that I was going to make this work. And the math of real estate made sense to me.
I remember sitting when I did dental implants, having no clue what they were talking about sometimes. And it didn't matter. I was still one of the top salespeople because I'd show up with passion. I showed up, I cared. I would ask questions. I
was the exact same with real estate. I had no clue. And like the head of the whole company had like 4 computer screens and he's spitting out these numbers. And on the phone, I'm like, this sounds like a different language.
Totally.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Do not send me a document like that.
Yes, exactly. So I figured it out. Yeah. And then by month 6, I was making $50,000 a month.
That's
never looked back.
Incredible. Now, did you have any doubt that you could do that? Or you're just like, it was just going to happen? What was the talk going through your brain?
I was going to do this or I was going to die.
Okay.
Like I literally just put.
But did you have a number? You're like, I'm going to make this, or was it just, I'm just going? Like, I'm just going. What was the?
It was $10,000 a month.
Okay.
And I hit that month 3.
Okay, so if somebody's listening and they're like, okay, I get it, I hear you, passion, purpose, just pick whatever and show up that way. Do you advise that? Because like earlier you said, don't focus on the money. So like where's the line? Like what would you tell somebody is too ambitious, not ambitious enough? Like how do you set a goal like that?
It depends on your life situation. My life situation was I was single. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a whole lot of overhead. And I could set those goals and still be really healthy. So
you were balling at $10,000 a month then.
I was balling, of course. And I would literally like run to Seal Beach and back for lunch every day. Everybody would go out to lunch, have beers. I would take my shirt off and go running back and forth over the bridge. And it was great. That's what I did because I wanted to be healthy and I wanted to start making money again. The most important thing about my journey with yoga that I got to learn about myself was I have a very big spiritual side. I'm very connected to the world and the universe and all that stuff. And I love health, like humongous. Yeah. But I also love money. Not love money. I love the stability of it. Yeah.
To me, money it buys freedom, it buys comfort, it buys security, and it also allows you to be of service in greater ways.
100%. So I literally got into real estate with not these massive, huge goals. It was like, I want to race my bike still. I need this much money to be able to work 3 days a week, do whatever I want, and race my bike.
So did you have any limiting beliefs around like, I'm not smart enough to learn this?
At that point in my life, no, because I knew that I was probably going to be able to figure it out. And I took all those things away. I locked myself in my house for 4 days to figure out what's called the multiple listing service. Okay. Like it's this crazy computer program that you have to use when you're a real estate person. Yeah. And I didn't know how to use it. And it looked like I was never going to figure it out. 4 straight days.
I hope people are really hearing that because like you even say that and I'm like, oh, I couldn't learn that. Like that's a limiting belief that's very real for people. So I believe anyone can do anything. Like, so maybe it would have taken somebody else an hour. It took you 4 days. It would probably take me 2 weeks. Fine. but we could do it.
But you're still going to learn it. And I just told myself like, at some point I'm going to get this because like when I went from this job to being a wine sommelier, I did the same thing. I didn't know these territories. Yeah. I took 4 days and I drove the territories till I felt comfortable. I knew that I was going to be good at it way before I had way more belief in myself than skill. Okay, so when did you make this pivot of knowing, wow, I've made it, and like now I've really made it? Because like here now you're going for $10,000 a month, you make $50,000 a month. Now you're fully becoming an expert. You've mastered something most people don't master. When did that feel enough for you, or what made you? Because you went further than that. What was the conversation? Yeah, so I just kept going, and I was making a ton of money. And what I realized is like, I'm still very hollow inside. Like I have a lot of commas and zeros in the bank. I'm in really great shape. I want a family. Like I miss being in love. Like I've put so much time into work and business that I punted the other side of me that really needs to be nurtured. Yes. And so I met my wife and I went all in. Interesting. It was interesting. You got clear on what it is that you wanted and then she showed up. Very, very true. Which is very different than like, I need somebody to complete me and I'm searching. When you're from a place of I need, the lessons. Oh man, the lessons that come. So when I was very clear on what I wanted, I put that out there. Like I am now ready for this.
Yeah. Wow.
And then here she walks.
And she's probably thrilled that she met you in the place that she did versus the what did we say?
If she would have seen the other version of me,
Yeah.
we would 100% not be married.
That's amazing. Wow. Okay. So then take me on your journey. So then your business, it goes a whole nother level, like, because
Yes.
it's not just the real estate investing then. What gave you the ideas to keep going to those other places?
Sure. So it was a massive just feeling of giving back. I'd already become very successful. We own a bunch of buildings. I could retire before I was 40. Like, congratulations. This thing of service was overwhelming, but I had no clue how to do it. I literally had like a few hundred friends on Facebook. I didn't really know what I was going to do. I just knew that I really wanted to write a book. I knew I wanted to speak from stage, and I knew I wanted to provide a lot of value to somebody that wouldn't get it otherwise.
Yeah.
Because there's so much in real estate people don't know. Like a perfect example of that, and this is what my book covers in great detail, is I don't think buying a house is the smartest thing to do as your first piece of real estate. You can buy a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex.
Okay.
You can live in like the front house, rent out the back 3 units to cover the whole mortgage.
Okay.
So now if there is a major crash or correction, you have 3 other families paying that mortgage with you.
Wow.
But usually you can get them where you can almost live 100% for free. So now you're building wealth, and then you can slowly build from there.
That's incredible.
So for me, I stopped this massive sales meeting with all these lenders when I heard that. But the part that I stopped the meeting was about is you can put down 3.5% instead of 25%.
Why is that?
You can use what's called FHA financing in this country. So it's the same financing that you use to buy a condo or a townhouse or a house or a duplex, triplex, or fourplex, all fall under the same financing. And if you're going to live there, if it's going to be your primary residence, you can use what's called FHA financing.
So only if it's a duplex or can you use that for a single family home or no?
Yes.
You can.
Yes, or a condo. They're all the same rules and laws. When you get to 5 units or more, it's called commercial. Commercial lending, it's very different guidelines. But most people don't know, because I thought about my mom instantly. I'm like, if she would have bought the duplex that we were living in when we were kids for $100,000, that's now worth $800.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Her life would be very different.
Yes.
So I had this overwhelming just desire to tell people about that.
So this is interesting because here you are. You were not a good student. Like you were not raised as somebody that people would have thought would thrive book smart. You took on learning something that was beyond you, but you did it. And look what happens when you actually dive in and learn. You find angles that other people aren't even thinking about. Like you found this angle that not everyone talks about because you were digging and learning and researching yourself.
And I just find it fascinating that no one talks about it.
Yeah.
Like if you're a millennial and you're freaked out about, I don't want to buy a house because I want to be in one place. You don't have to. You live there. If you want to travel, you can Airbnb your unit. You know, you can do whatever you want. You can have this fourplex or triplex, and then in 5 or 6 years when you want to have a family, suck out a couple $100,000 in equity, go buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house.
So the story that's coming up for me, this is my false assumed limiting belief, I'm sure, but is like, then now you're a landlord. Now what if people default on their rent? What if they don't? Is that a real concern? Is that not a real concern?
It's 100% possible. The one thing about being a self-managing landlord is you get to vet your tenants. So you might find somebody who's in it that's great. You might find someone that's terrible. I don't like to self-manage anything. So I like to have a property management company do it.
They handle it all.
That is possible. So let's say that you go the whole year with 2 vacancies.
Okay.
Which is a lot.
Yep.
It's just like having a house then.
Yeah, I got it. So you're not worse off.
You're not worse. It's in reverse where it's bad. You own a house, the market crashes, you bought the house for $8, now it's worth $625, you can't sell it.
Yeah.
You're stuck. You have a fourplex that's $800,000. The mortgage is, whatever, $6,000 a month. You're charging $2,000 a door for the back that's covering the whole mortgage, and the market crashes and the property goes to $400. Let's say worst case scenario, it's worth half. You can still make your mortgage because your tenants are paying it.
Yeah, that's good.
You just get leverage.
That's really brilliant. I love that. So now, what would you say you do? Do you do more of that now? Are you always buying buildings? Do you teach how to buy buildings? What do you do now?
Yeah, so I will always buy real estate. It's my favorite thing on earth. We buy it all over the country. But I teach people things that they might not necessarily know. For example, like it's the same financing and same things to buy a house as it is to buy a 4-unit building. So, and I do a lot of stuff where I just like to help. Like I literally like get DMs about all the stuff I'm into, like health and fitness and coffee. But like a big thing is I'm a dad. I'm up at 3:00 every day.
Yeah.
I'm a dad. That's my number one job.
Yes.
Is to be a father.
So you like, it sounds like from your whole journey, you really have learned to just appreciate living and being present and those small things, like not small things, but being a dad's a big thing, but like the simple things is what I mean to say versus like the things that are earning money.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, since I was a kid, I figured out how to make money. If everything was taken from me today, I know how to go make money.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot to be a really good dad, to be a really good husband, to be a really good person.
Yes.
Like, I'm constantly like working on myself.
So what would you like, okay, so this is great self-awareness and you've had this great evolution. Did you have any, because it seems like things just sort of worked once you decided real estate. Did you have any setbacks with it? Did you have any failures where you had to second guess that?
Of course. And that's the thing with real estate is it's a very up and down market.
Okay.
So what I've learned is to be very cautious. Like if you watch me, I'm going really fast. But if you're really paying attention, I go very, very slow.
Wow.
And I pass on most deals.
Wow.
Because I've just learned you can make really bad moves. And real estate's a very long walk.
Okay.
Like a lot of my mentors are in their 70s and 80s and they've seen 4 and 5 cycles. And they see the writing on the wall. Like there's a lot of signs right now that there might be some stuff going on. Nothing's in stone, but there might be some rumbles in the real estate market. But at the same time, it doesn't matter.
So you have no concerns about it?
I'm actually a little bit thrilled, but that's just because I have a lot of tools.
Because you'll buy more.
I have a lot of tools in the down market that make my family very wealthy, and I can help other families do the same.
Yes. So if the down market happens, you just pick up more properties and got it. And you help people out by giving them a less expensive place to live, all that.
That's correct. And like my investors, I've helped most of them move into cash positions. Most firms would never have their investors do that because you need to be transactional now so you make money. I just know that's a bad idea. So I try to give everybody the same advice I would do for my family is what I put out.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh, this is so good. Okay, so I have a few more questions for you.
Shoot.
So what would you tell somebody that, first and foremost, somebody wants to get into learning more about real estate? What would you tell them? Where do they start?
I tell everybody just to go get your license. And everybody's like, well, don't tell people that. I'm like, why? If you were to pass your real estate test 10 years ago and hang it somewhere for basically free or like some fees, and then you go to buy this house and you write up the contract instead of the realtor that you hired to find you this house,
save 6%.
You would have like $100,000, $200,000 in your pocket.
That's actually brilliant.
Right? So then you use it.
Sorry to all the real estate agents listening.
But and then you use that $100,000 to redo your kitchen or redo the backyard.
That's like one of those like, why aren't we all doing that? You're right.
I think everybody should have it. And then at some point, if you want to buy an investment property, here's a perfect example. I bought a 4-unit building and they live in Minnesota. So I had to list the property so it was legally listed for the trust.
Okay.
So I got paid on the front end and I told them, I didn't want any money. They're like, we'll just pay you. And then I used myself to buy it, and I got paid on both sides as a commission as a broker, and I put that down, and it paid for 50% of my down payment.
That's incredible. Yeah.
And I'm not brilliant. Anybody could have done that if you passed a $300 test online to get your real estate license.
Yeah. That's amazing. So even if you're just using it for your own self, that's pretty incredible.
And it's just fun to learn something new. You can do it on the side. It could take you a year to pass the test. Who cares?
Yeah.
Everybody's in a hurry.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to get rich now. How about you get rich slow? And then keep it all.
Doesn't sound as fun.
It's true.
But you're right.
I like to do both, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to know now, this is a question I ask everybody on my show. If somebody is listening and they're in their own personal rock bottom. So
I've been there many times.
Yeah. Maybe they're the wine on the couch in the morning.
Yep.
Maybe they're there. Their business has failed, whatever it is. Something's not working in their life right now and they feel hopeless in their rock bottom. If you were to give them 3 pieces of advice, like 3 things that they can start doing to start leveling up and creating everything from nothing, what would that be from you?
The first one is this thing I like to call walk and talks. Like go outside and go walk.
Okay.
Even if you cry the whole time.
Okay.
Even if you're in a really bad place, go outside and walk.
Why outside, not the treadmill?
Well, the treadmill would work, but for me, I like to have, and If you can do it barefoot, even better. Get your feet connected to the earth and
I
to
don't
the
know
ground.
any female that's going to do that right now.
Right,
But
true.
that's good.
But if you're outside and you're moving your body physically, something happens.
Okay.
And you start to release endorphins that might be really, really blocked.
Yes.
And for me, it just opens stuff up. And sometimes you might actually run into somebody and have a conversation that give you a beautiful piece of advice that you would have never got before.
Wow, I like that. So go walk outside.
Just go walk outside.
Raining, snowing, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Walk.
Just get outside.
Get barefoot.
Get out of it. Because every person that's been severely depressed in their lives has a dark place they like to go because it's comfy. Get out of that dark place. Rearrange your furniture. Change the vibe in your situation. Do something. Sometimes we need these major shakes.
Yeah. So good.
And so for me, I try to do them constantly because I still go through it. I mean, I had a really bad December. And most people wouldn't even have known.
Yeah.
But I had a rough time. But I use the tools that I've learned over the years to just get myself out of my funk.
Totally.
So first and foremost, get outside and move. Listen to something funny. You have YouTube.
Yeah.
You have so many things. Listen to stand-up comedy.
Make yourself laugh.
Make yourself laugh. It literally changes the physical structure of your nerves. I've been in tears before, out of my mind, and I'll just put on something and pretty soon I'm laughing.
That's good.
It's this, and again, it's just a shift. You have to mentally shift your state.
That's so good.
It's really, really important. And then the third thing is get around people that actually pick you up and level you up.
I love that. Yeah. Who's on your bus? Who are you surrounding yourself with? That's so good. That's a common theme I hear with people that have mastered success, for sure.
Because, your association is really important.
Yes. Critical.
Who you hang out with really matters.
And you're truly the sum of who you surround yourself with.
Big time.
This is awesome. Where can people find you? Where can they learn more?
Sure. It's really easy to find me everywhere. You can just type my name into Google. Andy Dane Carter, DaneCarter. I am huge on Instagram. I spend most of my time there. And I've got a YouTube channel. If you want a copy of my book, it's free on my website.
Awesome.
And the book is called 100 Doors, which is the blueprint of this whole thing we're talking about.
Amazing.
And it's just my name, AndyDaneCarter.com.
Thank you so much. This was great.
100%. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for leveling up with us today. Please share this episode if you found it helpful so others can join in. And don't forget to hit that subscribe so you don't miss out on future shows. And if you would leave me a 5-star review, I appreciate those so much. I read all of them, and it's how I know that I'm giving you information that you find valuable. And come interact with me over on Instagram at NatalieJillFit. I read all the direct messages and comments over there. Make it a great day, creating everything from nothing.